Welcome to Aussizz Conclave 4.0. We hope that you're excited to know all about Australian migration and visa process with our Ask Aussizz session. Now, get ready to meet the expert who will guide you through your journey today.
Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are watching this video from. My name is Tejas. As Tanu mentioned, I'm a registered migration agent with Aussizz Group, and I'll be going through a lot of different questions. I hope all of you had a good sessions today for day one of the Conclave 2024. There were a lot of sessions happened today, and then over the next 4 days, we'll be covering a lot of different sessions. So there are 35 plus migration and education consultants covering up heaps and heaps of different topics, covering up skill migration, employer-sponsored partner visa, parent visa, study purposes, occupational related sessions as well. So if you haven't registered for any specific sessions, make sure you do register for those sessions, including my own other session, which is also an employer-sponsored Dharma programs. So if you're looking to get some information about Dharma programs, make sure you do register for that particular session as well. So over the period of next 45 minutes to an hour, I'll be covering up all the questions you have posted on different social medias. It can be generic, so make sure you give me as much as possible information to understand your question and case more in detail. But please note that this advice is very general in nature because I haven't met you in person and I don't know your case in detail, because even though you have described everything, there would be some more information I would like to know to make sure that I give you as accurate information as possible. So beginning my sessions, I'll be reading my own questions, as in the questions you have posted on this chat, and I'll be answering them one by one. So you're more than welcome to ask any questions, and I'll be happy to answer those questions in my own personal capacity as well. So I'm answering the first question from Sukhman Preet Kaur. I'm in final year of Bachelor of IT in Victoria University. I'm doing some certification in cybersecurity. Want to get a job in that as well? What do you recommend? Is it good to start IT career in cybersecurity? What do you recommend I should do to get a PR? Before applying for TR, what strategy can I opt for beside getting a superior English and other stuff? So definitely, cybersecurity is one of the hot area where even the federal government wants to focus heavily, especially if you look at Australia as a country, we are very far behind in cybersecurity compared to other advanced economies in the world. So over the next 5 to 10 years, the government wants to spend a lot of money, a lot of resources in developing that cyber resources for the general public. So it's going to be one of the career where you will have a lot of opportunities in the future. Coming to your point about permanent residency and planning before your permanent residency, what else can you do? The way the government wants to focus on changing the migration policy, the one clear and simple lesson I can understand is the job. So anyone who is planning to apply for a permanent residency, make sure that you do get a job. If you don't have an employment in your field, your chances of getting a permanent residency is almost zero unless and until you apply for a PR through partner visa or protection visa. That's a different story. But for the skill migration and employer sponsored, you need a job. So point one is a job, and obviously superior English is another thing. As many as points, so as high as points you can try to achieve high points. Through that, you can try to be a great profile for your skill in the future. So it gives you every chance in terms of securing a permanent residency. Understand that migration or employer sponsored is very competitive process, especially the skill migration, because you'll be competing with a lot of applicants from Australia and overseas. So make sure you do put forward your best profile possible. So the longer experience you have in Australia will be always favorable because you're already working in your nominated occupation in Australia. So that gives you a very good advantage compared to other applicants. Second question is from Mr. Sultan. My husband already studied in Australia, got his TR. I'm now studying masters. So I want to confirm if we are eligible to get a TR again. If you haven't applied for your 485 in the past as a primary applicant, yes, you can still apply for your 485 again, as long as you have studied this masters of social work on a student visa. Third question is from Davo. I've done bachelor in civil engineering from India, masters in construction management from Swinburne University. Which degree should I use for my skill assessment with Engineers Australia for Victoria? So Davo, you should keep both the options open, but then obviously civil engineering is the best option because you don't need experience to get a skill assessment. You can just opt for either accredited pathway or you can go with the CDR pathway. But for masters in construction management, you would need experience. Construction manager would be a very high demand occupation, as in most of the states are happy to sponsor this occupation. So if you can get a job area, then definitely you should opt for construction management occupation as well. You can also explore project administrator occupation if you can get a job as a project admin in a construction firm, if not as a project manager. So any of these three occupation can be a good pathway towards your permanent residency. End of the day, as I said earlier, it's all about jobs. So you need to secure a job in either civil, construction project manager, or as a project or program coordinator. Janvi is asking, kindly advise me what visa would be suitable for me after completing Bachelor of Nursing. So Janvi, you will be obviously applying for your graduate visa first after you finish your bachelor, and then you will have an option to apply for 189 or skilled visa through state sponsorship, which could be 190 or 491. So depending on your situation in general, if you have high points, you can opt for 189 visa. Now, keep in mind that next 12 months, the 189 rounds might not be as high as the previous one, because the allocation have been reduced for 189 in general, and all the applicants who have been invited recently will be also falling under the new financial year. If any of you watching this video planning on only 189, then make sure you have a plan B as well, because 189, the number of invites the last round had a high invites, which means the number of visa application will be also following high in the new financial year, but the allocation have been decreased in the new planning level. So make sure you plan your plan B for the either state nomination or employer sponsored visa. Ravindi is asking, I'm studying Masters of IT, doing internship in a big data analysis. Is it possible to apply for PR after TR? And what skill occupation section is related to big data analysis and data engineering? So after Masters of IT, either you can do a business analyst, or you can also explore a better such occupation in regards to the data emerging technology. So you'll have an option as a data scientist. You can also do a skill assessment as a statistician if you are working in that area, which is also around data. We have recently gotten a client who got the positive skill assessment as statistician as well. Similarly, working in a big data. So it depends on what kind of work you do every day around data, and also what's your bachelor, and combined with the master's, you need to have you have a selection of 3 occupations basically. Satya is asking, master's student visa extension refused due to no GT attachment, and again launched a visa in February. Currently on a bridging visa and not able to apply for 485 until the student visa is granted. My COE is going to complete by 1st of July. What are the chances of getting extension after the course completion? Yeah, you can create a submission letter. Maybe speak to the education or migration agent who have launched a visa. Create a submission letter which outlines the circumstances and request the department to grant you the student visa as soon as possible. We have done that in past and it worked. So it should work for you, and then get the visa granted to apply for your graduate visa as well. What are the most demanding skills in IT in Western Australia? Subsequently, tell me which skill assessment should I apply for the following: web developer, programmer developer, system analyst. Pradeep, one of the most common occupations obviously you'll be looking at is the system ICT business analyst, or anything to do with the security. Developer programmer is also good. Cyber security specialist is good. All of these occupations will always be in demand, especially around Western Australia, South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, because of their existing employers' requirement, and also the state nomination to make sure that they attract the right amount of people in their state. So you can explore any of those 4 occupations for your skill assessment. I'm a software engineer with 95 points for 491, 85 for 190. I've applied for last year, October, with NATI. Offshore, I've applied in New South Wales, Western Australia, Victoria. What are the is there agency which can help me with the jobs? I have 3 years of experience in software. Can I apply in South Australia? Not as well. Mr. Aftab, to be honest, your 3 years experience is not a lot for the occupation you are trying to achieve, the software engineer, because there are a lot of applicants out there who have either 5 years or 8 years of experience in this occupation. So chances of getting the state nomination being an offshore applicant is quite low. So I think the best chance, if you want to migrate within the next 6 months, 12 months or 18 months time, then would be the employer sponsored if you find a job in Australia who can sponsor you. Skill migration might not work for you. To be honest, I'm not trying to disappoint you with my answer, but that's the realist approach right now, comparing a lot of applicants onshore already waiting with high points, and also a lot of applicants onshore and offshore with the high amount of experience as well. Which one has more chances to get invited for 491? We launched EOI 2 months ago and has 105 points. ICT security specialists always tend to do well, so you can try to target that occupation. So Giselle is asking, what are the required and suggested points to be invited for 189 or 190 engineering technologist, mechanical engineer, PR pathway for Victoria? If you have 1 year of experience, that's good chances to get the permanent residency in Australia. But then again, your occupation, engineering technologist and mechanical engineer, is is also a competitive occupation for the skilled migration. So depending on what's your points, you should target at least 90, 95 points if you want to be invited in next round whenever that happens. Because for state nomination, you'll be also competing with a lot of graduates who have done bachelor overseas and masters here in Australia, and they are also working. Professional engineer, NECs, that can be a good occupation as well. But again, out of all these three occupations, the primary requirement will be the job. So if you don't have a job, I can see you already have a job, which is good. But anyone who doesn't have a job, the chance of them being invited is low. Now, because you're in Victoria, the other thing you can also do is having a skilled partner, because Victoria does recommend to have a skilled partner in terms of their preference. So there are two key criteria for Victoria state nomination. One is the salary, and also second one is the skilled partner, which I think I've seen in most of the ROI round earlier with Victoria. They're preferring those applicants who meet these two requirements. Mr. Name is asking, I'm from Gold Coast, Queensland, have just finished masters in IT. I've just got a software developer full-time. What would be the next step? Is it possible to apply for both 190 and 491? Yeah, you can apply for the expression of interest. Again, you have to wait for the next financial year invitation updates, which means Migration Queensland will announce their new criteria in financial year 2024-25, which could be July or August. And as long as you meet those new requirements, as in your occupation falls under the occupation list, then you should be able to apply for 190 and 491 both. But then if you talk about specifically for 190, then you have to meet the requirements which are announced for 190 only. So if your occupation is not there for 190, then the only other option would be the 491. Nagalakshmi is asking, I have 6+ years of experience in IT back in India. Now I'm into my last semester in masters. If I get any job with my previous experience in 485, will I be eligible for PR? How can I search for 482? Absolutely. If you can do masters, if you finish your masters and have a skill assessment in software testing, try to get a job in that occupation itself, because you'll be able to use the occupation group, so you can also explore other occupation for your skill assessment. And as long as you can get the skill assessment and then get a job, your chances of getting the state nomination is higher. Finding an employer who can sponsor you for 482, it all depends on your individual capacity in terms of securing yourself a job first. Once you have a job, then obviously you speak to your employer, either being a manager or HR manager. Once you have started working for them, you've shown them your skills, your value to the company, then they might be able to sponsor you, because again, sponsorship is a commitment from both sides. It's a commitment from employer and also a commitment from the applicant. They also need to pay the nomination fees, the Skilling Australia Fund levy as well. There is fair bit of financial involvement from employer side and also the applicant side. So best chance is if you do job first, start working for them, show them the value, and then they will be able to go through that process of the employer sponsorship for you. I'm currently living in Victoria State. I'm studying masters in IT. I would like to know which IT occupations related have a better chance. So Mesha, most of the IT in Victoria were doing well, but then again, my piece of advice would be wait for the next financial year updates, because I believe Victoria might change the occupation list. They may not just invite everyone from the list. They might go back to the smaller list which they used to have, because the number of invitation have dropped, as in the allocation have dropped to all the states, right? So the migration program planning will change statewide as well. So I think the best thing would be wait for the next financial year's requirement to be announced, and then you take it from there. Vishal is asking, I'm currently in 482 and my dependent is working too. Visa expires in next 4 months. For PR myself, my EOI is not accepted at that time. My visa expires. Am I allowed to stay in Australia under bridging visa or no, Vishal? EOI is not a visa application, so you don't get a bridging visa. So you need to be having either invitation to apply for a next visa, or you must apply for an employer-sponsored visa if you're on 482 in order to make sure that you remain in Australia lawfully. If either of this doesn't work, then the only other option you might have the student visa or any other visa. But make sure you do apply for some kind of visa before your current 482 expires. Otherwise, you'll be unlawful and you'll be in a big trouble. Okay, so next question is Janvi, and my 500 expires in a month after graduation from my bachelor. Am I still eligible? Yes, Janvi, even if your 485, your 500 is expiring after 1 day of graduation, that's absolutely fine. You can still apply for your 485 as long as you have a completion letter, transcript, you meet the English and character and health requirements. There's nothing stopping you from applying for your 485. Navdeep is asking, I've done advanced diploma in civil, have positive skill assessment from Engineering Australia, running a business since last 2 months. How much hope for SBO 491 in Queensland? What other requirements need to meet? 485 visa left till February 2025. Look, honestly, we don't know yet if the SBO will be back next financial year. If it backs, then obviously you still have to meet the other requirements. So I'm not sure if you have actually bought the business, you have invested the required amount of money in SBO as well. So the best piece of advice for you is wait until July to understand what's the next 12 months planning for migration Queensland. And as long as there is no significant changes, then you will be able to plan through this SBO. Otherwise, we have to have plan B. Pradeep, I'll have to answer your questions a bit later on because I think you need to give others a chance as well. I've seen at least 8 to 10 comments from you. Navdeep is asking, I've done advanced diploma in civil. Sorry, I've covered that question. Dhaval is asking, I've done D2D, so degree to diploma to degree in electronics and telecommunication from India with 3.5 years of experience in IT support. My wife holds D2D as well with 3 years experience as a computer engineering tutor and is completing her MSc in IT. We are currently in Victoria on 500 meeting age and English proficiency requirement. Can you advise on 190 and 491? So Dhaval, if you are working in this field, then you can apply for the registration of interest because both of you are skilled. Your chances of getting the state nomination is higher. But having said that, both of you should be having a job in the nominated occupation to boost up your profile. And the second thing is the English. If you can increase your English to a level of 8, then it puts you in a very good spot. But you have to keep in mind that what's going to be next financial requirement, you have to meet that. So we need to wait for Victoria to announce the new FY 24-25 requirements. As long as there is no significant changes and you have a job and English both, then your chances are much better. What is the point for accounting? I'm currently finishing my accounting in September, worked as a part-time in accounting. So Jyoti, the current point were 100 for 189. State nomination points cannot be judged because every state has their own requirements. So most of the states invites from anything from 65 points to all the way 95, 100 points. But for 189, the last invite had 100 points for the accounting, 100 and 105 for accounting and auditing occupation. As long as you're a bachelor of accounting, your post-bachelor experience can be considered as a skilled experience as long as you meet the skill assessment requirement as well. Sudiksha is asking, I'm currently in Perth, completed first trimester in IT extension with no specialization. My first question is which IT field is in demand from PR point of view, database or cybersecurity or anything else? Sudiksha, data or cybersecurity both are very good in demand. Database is also one of the area where there is a high focus. So both of them is equally good. It depends on your interest and which gets you a job. So there are two different things. One is what are in-demand occupation, but then the second and most important part is how interested are you in that area and how likely you're going to get a job in that area. So you have to decide that way, which eligible and what makes you interested in creating a career field. Which visa is possible after completing Bachelor of Nursing subclass 407, 482, 494, 186? Amit, I don't know why you are into the series of 4 because if you have done Bachelor of Nursing, you should be able to apply for your 485, not 407 or 482 because 485 will be the easiest and most common visa you should explore and then build up experience as a registered nurse and then go with the 189 or state nomination. 407, 482, 494 or 186, they're all employer sponsored. So if you don't have any other option and you are eligible with experience for 482 or 494 or 186, then only you should explore that option. 407 is a training visa, so it requires an employer with a detailed training plan as well. So these visas should not be explored if you are eligible for 485. Sukhman, you move on to the next one. Can I apply for global talent visa after Bachelor of Nursing? No, absolutely not. Because again, global talent, they've removed that visa altogether. They will be streamlining with the classes for highly talented stream in the future. So more information will be out, but the 858 visa is no longer there. I'm an international student and pursuing Diploma of Nursing. Once I complete my course, am I eligible to apply for UPR? Should I go with a bachelor degree? Swati, yes, you should definitely go with the bachelor's. Diploma of Nursing does not make you eligible for the graduate visa. So you'll have very less chances to apply for your permanent visa unless and until you are studying this course in maybe Tasmania or Canberra, sponsor you as an EN. But then it's going to be difficult for you to get a state sponsorship while you are on a student visa as well. So you should definitely explore a path for Ricardo is asking, does full-time PhD researcher under scholarship being counted as an experience to be eligible for 482? Subsequently, later on, does postdoctoral researcher counts as an experience for applying for university lecturer skill assessment in VETSS? Ricardo, PhD research work or any unpaid internship, or even if it's paid internship, part of your studies are not counted as a skilled employment for the VETSS skill assessment. They have made it very clearly that the experience needs to be post-qualification. Back then, I'm talking about 2016, 17 or 18, I don't remember on top of my head, but they were accepting this research experience if you are doing the PhD after your master's, obviously. But now it's no longer counted. So post-qualification, paid experience for the skill assessment. Anjan is asking, I've completed my Bachelor of Economics offshore. After that, I've worked in company where my job duty is closely related to ICT officer for 5 years in Japan. Now I'm doing MBIS in South Australia. Is that possible for a positive skill assessment? ICT officer is a skill level 2 occupation, and it requires, and it also goes through an assessment with the DRA. I'm talking about ICT customer service officer. So if you're talking about this occupation, then you should be able to go through the skill assessment as long as you have 3 years of full-time experience for TRA, but then chances of getting the state nomination without full-time job is 0. So you need to finish your MBIS, get a job in that area, and then only you can explore the state nomination options. So if you reach out to us in our office, we can assess your eligibility for your skill assessment and then move further after your MBIS is finished. I'm a 485 visa holder, currently working in South Australia Outer Regional as a chef for a year now. Do I need to have a skill assessment to apply for 482 visa? My visa is expiring next year, February, and I'm from Sri Lanka. Do I have an option for PR pathway? So Kaviksha, you don't need a skill assessment for 482 because you have studied in Australia, those qualifications, and you would be able to apply for either your 482 or eventually 186 through the 482 pathways, or you can also wait for the new financial requirements for the state nomination under 190 and 491 as well. So both of them can be an option. You just need to explore and speak to us if you're based in South Australia, if you need any assistance in that regard. Rushi is asking, I'm currently on a 485 valid till 27, master's graduated from Adelaide, now working as a civil engineer, 2 years experience, 1 year with current employer in regional New South Wales. I have New South Wales 190 with 95 points. Is it worth negotiating sponsored? Look, yes, because you are in one of the most competitive state, New South Wales, where most of the occupation EOIs for the 190s are more than 90 points. So very high chance civil engineer, they will already have enough applicants who would have 95 points, or even 100 points. Your profile is good, but you should always have a plan B. So if you get the invitation with 95 points, that's good. Otherwise, you should have a plan B, which could be 186 direct entry, because you still have a visa until 27. So you still have plenty of time. You don't need to go with a temporary visa of 482 or anything, but you can explore 186 once you finish your 3 years experience and go with a direct entry straight 186. Advait is asking, I have a doubt regarding temporary residency post-study work visa. I've studied 1 semester at Monash and then shifted to Holmes through Aussizz. I've got 4 credits from Holmes. Subject I studied from Monash. My stay in Australia is more than 16 months, covering 2 institutions. I'll be finishing my course in 24 November. Mine is 94 weeks. I have all the documents. So is it good for? Yeah, absolutely. So look, anyone who have studied 2 courses in Australia and got the credits from the previous course, which was done in Australia, they will be eligible for the graduate visa, as long as the course which you have recently finished, which is now, is registered for more than 92 weeks and you physically stayed in Australia for 16 months. So absolutely, you can apply for your graduate visa 485. And Vishal Sekhar, working as an IT professional in independent 482, trade-off developer program or analyst program, what are the requirements for my occupation employer to provide me 482 visa? Vishal, if you're already on 482 dependent, I don't think so you should move to the 482 visa unless and until your wife's or your partner's 482 is not leading to the 186. Both of the occupations for IT are same, so there is no huge difference in terms of pathway towards the 186. So you should look at the job opportunities in the market and see if you can, because you already have a current job and your wife is also, your partner is also currently working. So combinedly, you can explore the state nomination option if you are eligible with the skill assessment and high English. Another Vishal is asking what are my options as I'm completing my diploma of nursing this December and my visa expires in March. I'm on a student visa. So Vishal, as I said earlier, diploma of nursing doesn't give anyone 485 visa. So obviously the only option they have is either they apply for the state sponsorship, or they apply for the 407 training visa, or they apply for the Bachelor of Nursing Studies. According to me, the best case scenario would be Bachelor of Nursing, because you'll be able to apply for your registration in the future as RN. You'll be also getting the 485 as long as you are under 35 years of age and you study 2 years of Bachelor of Nursing. That would be a best case scenario, because Diploma of Nursing only study will not make you eligible for the state nomination as well in most of the states. You can wait until next financial year requirements are announced in July, and then you'll be able to understand how it's going to help you. Otherwise, you need to have a plan B. I'm an international student pursuing Diploma of Nursing. Once I complete my course, am I eligible for the PR? I think I've covered up this question earlier. I'm doing my Masters of Business Information System, Brisbane, going to graduate on December. So this invitation round, and I see the business analyst invited around 100 points. I will get only 2 years TR. What are my chances to get PR? Is it good? If I start early childhood diploma in my tier, can you give me a pathway? Shanika, masters as in business analyst, you have a good chances as long as you can get 8 each. You do your professional program and also get a job of 1 year experience. You might reach to 95 to 100 points. Having said that, you should always have, as I said, backup plan. The backup, if you stay in IT, would be the employer sponsored. Find a job, work in the occupation for 2 years, and then see if employer can sponsor you for 482 visa. Doing a graduate diploma in early childhood can be an option as well, but then, as I said earlier to many of others, is choose an occupation where you can see yourself working in the future and it's for your career. Don't just do anything which is for the permanent residency only, because if things change, that's going to disappoint you. But if you have done something which makes you interested, then you can always utilize those skills in the future somewhere else. Graduate Diploma of Teaching is a really good course as long as you are interested in becoming a teacher. It can also get you a pathway towards permanent residency through 189, 190 or 491 visas. But imagine if that occupation is gone in the future, what else could we do? So, but if you really wanted to do that, then it's a different story. So as I said, out of IT or teaching, pick the best thing what you want to do for your career and then focus on that to get a job and then work towards that. If you cannot get a job in IT and then you want to switch into nursing or teaching and other occupation, it can work. But then also, as I said, pick occupation where you can see yourself working in the future. Manisha, I'm currently on a student visa doing masters in public health. I have completed my trimester, but I want to apply for my spouse. Manisha, depends on where you're from originally. But most of the student dependent visas are getting refused right now in general, especially from subcontinent, because department's strategy is very clear in terms of reduction of the net migration from overseas. So they're heavily refusing not just student, but most of the student dependent visas as well. So my piece of advice would be finish your study, go on a graduate visa, and then apply for the graduate dependent visa, because that would be the best option, because there is no GT in the 485. Whereas student visa, they are refusing on the grounds that the partner will not go back to the home country. I'm on 482 with 2 years of experience. Any option to get PR without employer's help? So yes, you can, depend where you are in Australia. So it depends on state nomination options. You can explore either 190 or 491 visa option that can help you to get a permanent residency. I've just completed my Bachelor of Technology, Computer Science, Engineering in India. I'm currently working in IT company since 1 year, and now I want to apply for work visa. So you need to have at least 2 years of experience in the current requirement in order to apply for the work visa, which is the 482. And you also need an employer who can sponsor you. So it's not that straightforward. There's nothing such as straight work visa for anyone, unless and until you apply for the recognized graduate visa, which is closed now. But then you need to have this 482. 482 requires you to have an employer who can sponsor you. Is the PR pathway depending on job title and experience? Example, if I get a job in data analyst, is the PR pathway is data analyst? It depends on the duties you do, but then data analyst, between the business analyst, data science, and statistician, you can work around depending on your majority task. So it depends on what's the nature of the company, what is your task and duties for every day. You can have any of these occupation go through. I've done Cert 3 in carpentry and then diploma in construction. What are the chances in the student visa? I can't apply here as my age is 35. What would be the best option? Yes, so I guess employer sponsored would be the best option. You can apply for probably the job ready, which is the the training visa with the training plan. If you have done Cert 3 in carpentry recently, it's pretty much same as the job ready program, where they will be going through the job ready training on the 407. So you can get a visa up to 2 years of the 407, and that can lead you towards the permanent visa. Once you have a skill assessment finished, you can apply for 189, 190 or 491 visa as a carpenter. So Navdeep is asking, is there any chance to change requirement of SBO 50 points running a business in regional Queensland, have invested $125,000? Seats will change or whole system can change for it if I've left until February? Yes, Navdeep, look, right now you're on a path with the process. There's no point of changing anything right now, but then the best thing is wait until the Migration Queensland announce the new requirements. It always happens every year in June, where there's a lot of uncertainty around the program, but there's not much you as an individual or anyone else, to be honest, can do, because until and unless you don't know the new financial requirement, you cannot plan anything as well. The only certainty in the Australian migration program is employer sponsored or partner visa. Skilled migration is never certain because state will change the requirements as it's depending on the demand versus supply issue. If they only have so much seats, but they have a lot of demand, they cannot give state nomination to everyone. So they have to keep on changing the requirements. So you have to keep on meeting those requirements. Whereas employer sponsored and partner visas, these are the only two visa subclasses. It doesn't have a lot of experience changes, because it's one is the employer as a business requires the skills, and the second one is the Australian citizen or permanent resident who is applying for the partner. So there's not much the government can do in this too. But then for the state nomination, they can change anytime. But wait until July and you'll be able to understand and create a better path for yourself. My husband has certificate in draft person, have 8 years of experience. You can apply for the expression of interest, skill assessment, and good English. That can be a good pathway. You can have expression of interest lodge if they will invite you. The last invites were around 85 points or 80 plus points. So if you can reach that, then it's good. I am confused as I've heard some news regarding the new policies being said that student visa holders won't be able to extend their visas. Is that true? To some extent, mine expires in 26, and I still have to apply for a new degree. I'm planning to do situation been complex for me to finish my primary course. Look, I think I'm a bit confused with your mixed wording, but then if you're planning to apply for a new student visa from a current student visa just to finish your current studies or to study another master's or something, then I don't think that's an issue. What the government is trying to stop is only the graduates who are on a 485 visa going back to the student visa just to keep on hopping on the temporary visas in Australia, because according to the government they are not really a genuine student because they've been here in the system for a very long period of time and they haven't improved themselves in terms of the skill which allows them to apply for the skilled migration or employer sponsored, and they're using the student visa just to stay in the country. So for you, I don't see an issue in terms of just finishing the course or applying for a new course after your current course. And wait, I've just covered this question, so I'll skip that. I've skill assessment in electrical engineering and technology. So is there any chances to get 491 as I have 65 points in Victoria? Do I need to change? Look, 65 points is very low for state nomination, so you might have to increase your points and also see if you are married, have partners to have skill assessment and try to get a high paid job. My wife have lodged EOI from Perth, WA with Masters in IT, waiting for this financial year. Is there anything we need to update or other options? Mr. Durji, there is nothing you can do right now. You still have to wait for the new financial year to start. Once Migration WA announced the branding, then only you can understand if your occupation will be meeting the requirements or you have to have a plan B. Ashish is asking, my student visa is under process, going graduate diploma of early childhood from VU. I've completed my Bachelor of Accounting, 80 points, and Advanced Diploma of Civil Construction Design, 70 points. What should I do now? Look, just keep doing the jobs, keep doing the studies, not going to help you, to be honest. You have got already 2 assessment, accounting and civil. You need to get a job in any of this. Graduate diploma will get you another skill assessment, but it's not guaranteed that it's going to get you a PR as well. So I guess it's time to get a job either in accounting or advanced diploma, which is civil engineering draft person. Even if you finish your grad dip, you might have to get a job as a teacher. So you need to be ready to get a job in any of these 3 occupations you have. What's the trend going on for food science and occupation under that? Currently suggest if I should continue with masters or not. What the possibility of this occupation, like food technologist, winemaker, quality assurance manager. Look, Karthik, it depends where you are in Australia. Only few states offer these occupations as a state sponsorship. So as long as you have a job and this occupation remains on that list, then yes, you have a good chances. Madhav is asking, petroleum engineer with 7 years experience in India, currently doing MBA in Melbourne, currently working part-time in engineering department at Marriott. Wife is web developer with 3 years experience, 2 years analyst, currently working in finance here in Australia. Look, I think the best thing is you need to finish your masters and get a job in petroleum. Best chance would be getting a job in WA in mining, and then that can give you a best chance to get a permanent residency, or your wife can get a job in IT with the previous experience, and then it can help her to apply for the employer sponsored or the state sponsored. Mr. Ali is asking, I've recently got my PR from my wife's master's. At this point, we are not sure what field should we focus on. We have 3 years of TR, would like to know what would be the best option. I have not received invitation on 26441, 1312. Look, in terms of the 3 years planning, then as I said earlier, I don't know if you have a job or not. Primary focus will be the employment. So there are 2 key points you can focus on. Number 1 is employment, and number 2 is English. To make sure you have the highest point through English, and you have a job in the nominated occupation. So that those 2 things can help you to get a state nomination. My brother plays cricket and he's still 19 and has been accomplishing his goals in that field. I'm curious if we can find a cricket club to sponsor his visa, or him as an invitee in Australia through Global Talent visa. No, global talent is very difficult for the sports person. They need to be internationally recognized cricketers, such as a national level team players. And even that, they need to have an endorsement from similarly internationally recognized Australian players, or like Cricket Australia or something similar. In terms of cricket club to sponsor, it's too early for them unless until he comes on a temporary activity visa to play for the season. So I think the best thing is you need to consult someone personally to understand the option, but I don't see a lot of options unless until he eventually uplift his game in the future where he's an internationally recognized player. I've just completed my BTech in, I think I've covered up that. Jan, can I get a PR directly after 485 visa? You can apply for 189. If that happens, then yes, 189 is a direct PR. Otherwise, you need to get a job to apply for the 190 or 491. I'm Nimera. Currently, I'm studying Masters of Education. I hope to finish my first semester in August. This course does not have a PR pathway. I need to change my course MBA because the course fees is high. I'm 35 years. Could you please advise? Look, you haven't mentioned what's your bachelor, so there's not much I can advise you in terms of the course option. MBA is very generic. It can help you to get a multiple skill assessment. But if you're not eligible for the graduate visa, then you need to have an employer sponsored as a backup. So you need to have your bachelor from overseas and also experience used to get the skill assessment and also towards the applying for the employer sponsored. So maybe speak to one of our offices close to you, wherever you're living, and we'll be able to understand your profile and guide you through. I'm international student pursuing diploma. I've covered up these questions, Swati, so I'll skip that. After 485, what can we do if we didn't get invite for PR? Can we lodge another student visa on a secondary applicant? No, you cannot apply for 485 to student, even if it's a secondary applicant. And that's the whole point of department wants to stop this student visa from the graduate visa. Unfortunately, the reality is not everyone can get a permanent residency in Australia. So if you look at the statistics, there could be around 600,000 plus students studying in Australia right now. Out of that, every year, probably 50, 60,000 would get permanent residency through different visas, such as employer-sponsored skill migration and other things, including partner visa, I would say. So only 1 in 10 are getting the permanent residency. So you have to plan your expectations according to that, that not everyone would get the permanent residency. Only the one who meets the requirement would be, getting that. Having a minimum 65 points for the EOI does not make you eligible for the PR. It is the benchmark of just minimum requirement. And then it depends on the department's expression of interest, if you're going to get the invite for that particular occupation or not, because not every occupation will be invited at 65 points. Last 2-3 years were very lucky. So whoever got the PR in last 2-3 years because of high migration programs, they should be blessing. They should be appreciating themselves and the system itself. They should consider themselves lucky, because if you look at the previous, as in the pre-COVID migration plannings and migration programs, there were a lot of struggle. And because of the new policy changes, we'll see a lot of the similar struggle will return in skilled migration and employer sponsored as well. So make sure you plan your journey very effectively with right occupation, high points, right profile, and biggest of all, have a job in the field itself. I've done master's in mechanical engineering. So regarding my occupation, which state is better to move from? Every state is good for this occupation, because it's a manufacturing related occupation. So either South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, even Queensland, WA, all of them are good. Just need to wait for the new financial year to make sure that your occupation remains in those state nomination lists. Jamie is asking, what are the chances of applying for PR as an architect? I've applied since March, 70 points, retaking the PTE, 7 years of experience, studying diploma of project management. It's very good chances. You just need to improve your English and get a higher score in English, because that way your points will be increased. Your profile will be much better for the state nomination consideration as well. Tashish is asking, if I do masters for research, can I apply for TR again? No, you can only get the TR once in your lifetime, and then being it diploma, bachelor, masters, PhD, anything. Just by doing another master's or PhD will not make you eligible for second 485. So make sure anyone who's watching this video use your 485 very effectively and efficiently, because sometimes students think they have 4 years, 5 years of TR, so they have plenty of time, so they don't care. But the way the migration policy is coming up into the place, as in the changes and everything, things gonna be very hard. So in that case, make sure you plan early in your 485 rather than waiting towards the end of your 485 to make sure that you know what's going to be an issue in early stage, and then you can plan accordingly. So it's always good to use your 485 effectively to make sure that there's no surprises later on. I think I've covered most of this. 491 in June. I'm student visa at the moment. I would applied for studying different 2 years. I guess in general, your question is about not studying if you have 491, but if you have launched your 491, but if you have applied for the 491 and your current visa, in effect visa is still a student visa, so then you still need to maintain your study load, no matter what your issues are. I guess you're not studying because of your existing 491 visa application, but you still need to maintain your the current visa condition, which is your student visa condition. I'm from Adelaide. My 485 visa is expiring in November. Should I apply for extension before July, or I can apply after July as well? Regional extension will be there, but then if you're eligible for the eligible course extension, then you should apply now to make sure that you get extra time. So Victoria won't invite people who do not have job in their skilled occupation. They also prefer with age points 30, like less than 33. But this is beyond our control. Is there any other catch to get 190? One. Yeah, so Victoria specifically see high income skilled partner and also the job in the field as one of the key sector, as in key criteria. So you need to plan according to that, and there's no other catch. It's all about having the right occupation, right place, right job, right points. There's no right points in terms of minimum or higher. The higher is better. So anything between 80 to 100 is good points, depending on the occupation. I'm an international student pursuing diploma of nursing. I think I've covered up this already. I'm an international, have studied total 4 years in Australia, 3 years bachelor, 1 year master's. Question is, my 485 will be for 3 years or 2 years? So Tony, it will be for 3 years because of the MATES program, not the MATES program, sorry, the free trade agreement. The Indian national will be still getting 3 years 485 after July. Based on your experience, do you believe CSR will be applied for skill visa as well? Or we can be confident that states like SA will continue accepting application from multiple occupation like dietitian conference? Look, CISO was primarily focused on employer sponsored because government number one focus was to simplify the employer sponsored program into 3 streams and all. State nomination will be still using all the occupation, which is MLT, SSL, STSOL, and also the ROL. So your occupation can be still on the list eventually in the new financial year. My partner works as a physio, working towards a skill assessment. Should I also consider moving to? You can, absolutely. So depending on your overall situation, physio as a medical occupation is also a good occupation to get the state nomination. PhD programs can be reintroduced in the future for Victoria, but then again, that's my prediction. So you have to wait until the state nomination announce the new criteria in the future, because right now there is no extra incentive for those graduates. But again, the best thing is to wait in July and see what's going to be the next 12 months plan. Kavisha, I've covered your question. So that's all good. I think I've covered a lot of questions and most of them are getting repeated. You can still keep on posting these questions, and also we will have Ask Aussizz sessions every day for this conclave 2024. So there will be another session tomorrow, the day after, and all days for this week. So if you have any questions left out, you can still ask them tomorrow session or on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday sessions. And I'll be also doing another session which is for DAMA. So if you want an employer-sponsored visa program information, you can register for the DAMA program as well. There will be a lot of questions we'll be covering up in that. Thank you very much for joining these sessions. I hope you had a bit of information out of your profile. If any other questions, feedback, you feel free to get in touch with us. And thank you very much for joining us today. Have a good day.